Chapter 20. The powerful minister's ghostly tales lead to his death. The poem reads, fragrant paths are overgrown with wild herbs, deer roam the Suzhou terrace. Clear songs and melodious dances adorn the magnolia boats, a lonely chill in the current. Where are the beauties now? Their youthful beauty cannot be retained. Only the bright moon remains, shining on the fragrant isle, like bubbles rising and falling on the water. Right tune, a cloud over Wushan. Life is fleeting, like a flash of lightning, and youthful beauty fades even more quickly. In the span of 70, how long can one enjoy youthful beauty and green hair? Even the golden lotus steps of the Emperor Donghun of Qi and the jade trees in the harem of Emperor Chen Huzhu lasted only a short time. And those powerful and treacherous officials, full of arrogance and boundless pride, no matter how illustrious their heroes, once their lives end, they vanish in an instant. Are they not just like those beautiful women and youthful beauty? It is said that after Emperor Yang ascended the throne, after the court session, he went to Xuanhua Palace, indulging in pleasure and revelry for more than half a month. When Empress Xiao was still the crown prince, they were inseparable and deeply in love. Now that he was empress, he had not been with her at all. Empress Xiao initially suspected that he was still recovering from a recent death and was living alone in a separate palace. Later, she learned that he was indulging in debauchery every night in Xuanhua Palace. Enraged, she exclaimed, "He's only just become emperor, and he's already so promiscuous. What will become of him?" That day, Emperor Yang was returning to the palace after court when Empress Xiao grabbed him and shouted, "What a despicable emperor! You've only been on the throne for a few days, and you've already abandoned your wife and committed adultery with your father's concubine. If you continue for a few more years, you'll have defiled every woman in the world." Emperor Yang said, "It was just a momentary pleasure. Why be so angry, my wife?" Empress Xiao replied, "Whether it was a momentary pleasure or not, I don't care. Just punish him and send him to the cold palace, forbidding him from seeing me. That will be enough for me. If you still long for him, I'll send you a message. Imperial decree. Inform all officials of these disgraceful acts so that you will be utterly disgraced." Emperor Yang hurriedly said, "My lady, you are so impatient. Allow me to deal with you slowly." Empress Xiao said, "What is there to deal with? If you cannot bear to let him go, I will have the palace maids humiliate him and see if he feels any shame." Emperor Yang was originally afraid of Empress Xiao, but seeing her speak with anger, he became even more anxious. He could only get up and say, "My lady, say no more. Let me go and explain to him and tell him to do as he pleases. I will then return to the palace to apologize to you." Empress Xiao said, "Whether you speak to him or not is up to your majesty. Whether you come or not is up to your majesty. I have my own plans." These words had already been reported to Lady Xuanhua by a palace maid. Upon hearing them, the lady wept bitterly. Suddenly, a palace servant announced, "The emperor has arrived." Xuanhua could only bow her head and greet him, tears still in her eyes. Emperor Yang approached and embraced Xuanhua tightly. Seeing her face bowed and still wet with tears, he said, "I had just quarreled with the empress and I thought you knew beforehand, but I have my own plans." "If the empress had any intentions, I would not have the heart to do it," Xuanhua said. "I am of humble and unworthy character, having wronged the late emperor, and now I have tarnished your majesty's body. I know I deserve to die. I beg your majesty to follow the empress's decree and punish me by sending me to the cold palace, where I will live out my days in Changmen. Only then will it be truly safe." Emperor Yang sighed, "Where there is love, there is no fear of death. Although my joy with you has been short, our affection is as deep as the sea. Even if we were to become a commoner couple, I would be content. How could you bear to so easily abandon me? Is your heart so hard that you would so cruelly discard me?" Xuanhua embraced Emperor Yang, weeping. "It is not that I am hard-hearted. If I continue to cling to you, not only will your majesty's reputation be ruined, but I also fear I will suffer the same fate as the late Emperor Yuqi's daughter." If the Empress is angered tomorrow, I will have nowhere to go. Why doesn't your Majesty plan ahead for me, lest I regret it later?" At this point, Emperor Yang sighed. "From your words, it seems you resent my shallowness, yet understand that my feelings deepen daily." He then instructed a court eunuch to clean the outer palace grounds and move Lady Xuanhua out, with all expenses to be provided as before. The two were deeply in love when they were separated. They talked and talked, clinging to each other, unwilling to let go. Only after Xuanhua repeatedly pleaded did Emperor Yang finally allow her to leave the palace. Truly, death's parting is swallowed in silence. Life separation is always heartbreaking. The most bitter thing is being a woman, having to serve others with her beauty. After Emperor Yang's departure from Xuanhua, he was constantly infatuated, sighing and lamenting. Xuanhua was on his mind in his dreams, in his tea, and in his meals. Empress Xiao, seeing Emperor Yang's obsession, knew she couldn't stop him. She said to him, "I advised your Majesty to send Xuanhua away because I wanted to strengthen our marital bond, but I didn't expect your Majesty to be so attached to her, even considering me a jealous woman. Things are gradually becoming more complicated. It would be better if you issued an edict to summon Xuanhua back to the palace so that she can comfort your Majesty day and night. I could also share in your Majesty's joy. Wouldn't that be convenient for both of us?" Emperor Yang laughed and said, "If that were the case, my wife's virtue would be unparalleled throughout the ages, but I'm afraid it's just a joke." Empress Xiao said, "How dare I joke with your Majesty?" Emperor Yang was overjoyed, and without waiting any longer, immediately dispatched a eunuch on horseback to summon Xuanhua. Meanwhile, since leaving the palace, Xuanhua had no desire for favor. She spent her days without makeup or adornment, quite content and at ease. That day, a eunuch suddenly appeared, summoned by imperial decree. She said to the eunuch, "Now that I have been released by His Majesty's grace, like fallen flowers drifting on water, how can I possibly return? Please convey my thanks to the Emperor." The eunuch replied, "The Emperor is summoning your Majesty from the palace. He cannot wait even a moment." How dare this servant return empty-handed? Xuanhua thought for a moment and said, "I have a plan." She took a piece of paper, wrote a poem on it, folded it into a square knot, and gave it to the eunuch, saying, "Take this to express my thanks to the Emperor." The eunuch dared not insist further and had no choice but to take it and report back to Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang hurriedly opened it and saw that it was a poem, "Longing for You." Red has faded, green has faded, many thanks to the spring breeze for blowing to the ground. The withered flowers can hardly climb the branches. Favored, I am suspicious. Out of favor, I am suspicious. I imagine how long the joy can last, fearing new separations. Emperor Yang looked at it and laughed. He's afraid I'll abandon him again. Now that I've explained it to the Empress, how can I bear to leave him again? He then took paper and pen and wrote a poem in response, following the same rhyme scheme. The rain is plentiful, the dew is plentiful. I wish to transform into the spring breeze, blowing day and night, planting branches that last 1,000 years. What doubt is there in kindness? What doubt in love? A day is filled with joy 12 hours a day. Who can bear to part with me in life or death? After Emperor Yang finished writing, he folded it into a square knot and ordered the eunuch to go again. When Xuanhua saw the poem and saw Emperor Yang's earnest affection, she couldn't refuse again. She could only reapply her rouge and powder, redraw her eyebrows, and rode in her 7 fragrant carriage to court. Emperor Yang, seeing this, was overjoyed. His spirit lifted. He accompanied Xuanhua to the Empress's palace to thank Empress Xiao. Empress Xiao, though displeased, knew Emperor Yang's nature and could only feign compliance, turning over a joyful sign and ordering a banquet to celebrate. It was truly. The spring breeze in the palace brings forth new beauty, and the serene scenery of the deep palace shines brightly on this auspicious day. Xiao Lang, a stranger on a distant road, meets again, Liu and Ryuan are reunited at Tiantai. From then on, Emperor Yang and Xuanyue enjoy themselves day and night, their intimacy growing ever stronger. But less than half a year later, the full moon is fleeting, the beautiful flower fades easily, and Beauty's life is short. She falls ill and dies. Emperor Yang weeps several times and orders the officials to give her a lavish funeral. He remains lost in thought, his brow furrowed with sorrow and tears. Empress Xiao says, "The dead cannot be brought back to life. What good is grief? Why not select more beautiful women from the harem to comfort your majesty and spare you such sorrow?" Emperor Yang replies, "How can I choose from these remaining beauties in the palace?" Empress Xiao says, "Xuanyue was also chosen from the harem. How can it be decided? It's just for amusement." Emperor Yang agrees with Empress Xiao and issues an edict ordering all the concubines and maids of all ranks in the palace to come to the main palace for selection. The palace maids, each with their hair skillfully styled and elegantly parted, entered the main palace. Emperor Yang and Empress Xiao went to the hall together and summoned the women. They drank wine and made their selection. Truly, one who has seen the ocean finds it hard to be impressed by other waters. Though there were rows of flowers and rows of willows, after much selection, none possessed outstanding beauty. Emperor Yang grew impatient and said, "Even if we choose, they'll all be the same. How can they compare to Xuanyue, a woman of unparalleled beauty?" He then issued an edict to cancel the selection. Upon hearing the edict, the palace maids scattered in all directions. Empress Xiao said, "Your Majesty, please be patient and drink a few cups. I will personally search the palaces and find you an outstanding woman." Emperor Yang said, "Why waste your time and energy on a woman you cannot find now?" Empress Xiao said, "It is not like that. Women who aspire to be exceptionally beautiful are always proud and willing to remain in the Changmen Palace, rather than easily joining the selection procession. Now I will search carefully and leave no stone unturned. If I cannot find one, your Majesty may punish me with 3 large goblets. How about that?" After saying this, she hurriedly got up, boarded her carriage, and left the palace. Emperor Yang embraced an eunuch and sipped his wine. It turned out that Empress Xiao had been visiting women in various palaces, and she went straight to Changla Palace. She removed her palace robes, reapplied rouge and powder, then added cherry blossom makeup, swept her hair forward, and changed into a Suzhou-style makeup. She wore a dragon and phoenix hairpin, with 3 bright pearls dangling from her face, and changed into a set of brightly colored palace-made clothes. Once dressed, she first sent a eunuch to inform the emperor. At this time, Emperor Yang was already half drunk and had not yet seen Empress Xiao arrive. Just as he was about to send someone to invite her, a eunuch entered and reported, "Her Majesty has chosen a woman and instructed me to send her to the palace for an audience. Her Majesty has gone to another palace." Emperor Yang laughed. "My wife is truly tireless in her efforts for me." At that moment, Empress Xiao, having changed her makeup, arrived at the palace gate, stopped her carriage, and walked gracefully and elegantly onto the steps, still an arrow's flight from the main hall. Emperor Yang glanced down and, sure enough, saw a palace maid escorting a woman. Her demeanor was graceful, her beauty captivating. She slowly moved into the hall and prostrated herself on the ground. Overjoyed, Emperor Yang exclaimed, "So there really is such a woman in the harem. Quickly tell her to rise." He repeated this 3 times, but the woman remained prostrate. At this moment, Emperor Yang felt his lust rising and, disregarding propriety, stepped down from his throne and helped the woman up. She stood with her head bowed. Emperor Yang, after a careful examination, burst into laughter, exclaiming, "So it's my imperial wife! What a clever and insightful woman! No wonder such talent has been wasted." He took Empress Xiao's hand and led her to a seat, laughing. "These 3 enormous goblets, my imperial wife, are unavoidable." Empress Xiao replied, "I searched the harem but found none suitable. Since I had already spoken, I feared your Majesty would be offended, so I feigned ugliness to appease your Majesty and bring you a smile. I beg your Majesty to forgive these 3 enormous goblets." Emperor Yang said, That won't do. I won't punish my imperial wife, but rather the newly chosen beauty. Empress Zio said, "If she were truly a beauty, I fear your majesty wouldn't be willing to punish her." "All right," she said, taking the cup from her hand. "I think that although the palace may not have them, the whole world has them, since your majesty is the ruler of the world. Why not send people to select them from all over? There are probably none 10 times better than Xuanhua. Why bother with this trouble?" Emperor Yang said. "My wife's words are good, but I fear the court officials will have many objections and suggestions." Empress Zio said, "Few court officials dare to speak frankly and offer honest advice. The only one I'm worried about is that old man Yang Su. While the potted orchids are in full bloom, why doesn't your majesty summon him to the garden tomorrow for a banquet to admire the spring orchids? A few words can provoke him, and we can see his intentions and actions, then we can decide." Emperor Yang said, "My wife's words are very good." The discussion was settled, and the next day, Emperor Yang went to the imperial garden. He saw that all the potted orchids of varying lengths were in full bloom. Indeed, a myriad of delicate fragrances filled the air, and a few weeping willows reflected in the clear pond. Emperor Yang hurriedly dispatched 2 eunuchs to summon Yang Su to the imperial garden. Yang Su, having rendered great service in supporting Emperor Yang's ascension to the throne, held immense power in the court and the military. That day, while enjoying himself with the singers and dancers, he heard the imperial decree and, riding in a sedan chair, entered the imperial garden. Upon reaching the Tang pond, Emperor Yang saw him and naturally greeted him from his throne. According to custom, he was dismissed from court and offered a seat. Yang Su, without any modesty, simply bowed and sat down. Emperor Yang said, "It has been a long time since I last saw you, and I have become somewhat stingy. Now I see orchids blooming in their pots, new willows greening by the pond, a fragrant breeze blowing, and fish swimming about. Therefore, I have summoned you to come and observe and fish with me." Yang Su replied, "I have heard that following birds leads to decadence, and following beasts leads to ruin." In the past, Duke Yin of Lu observed fish at Tang, and the asterisk spring and autumn annals criticized him. Shun sang the poem Southern Wind Asterisk, and his virtue is praised for 10,000 generations. Your Majesty has recently ascended the throne and is young and vigorous. I wish you to follow the example of Shun and not emulate the disgrace of Duke Yin of Lu." Emperor Yang said, "I have heard that the old man of Pangxi, with a single fishing rod, laid the foundation for the Zhou dynasty's 800 years of rule. How is your achievement any different from this?" Yang Su was overjoyed and said, "Since your Majesty has shown such consideration for me, how could I not repay your Majesty with this?" The emperor and his minister looked at each other with great pleasure. Emperor Yang then ordered his attendants to move their seats to the pond to watch the fish. Everyone cast their lines into the clear stream, fishing with the ripples. Emperor Yang said, "I will fish with you, my esteemed minister. The first to catch a fish wins, and the last to catch one will be penalized with a large goblet. What do you say?" Yang Su replied, "Your Majesty's decree is most ingenious." A short while later, Emperor Yang lifted his hand and caught a small goldfish about 3 inches long. Emperor Yang was overjoyed and said to Yang Su, "I've caught one. My esteemed minister, you shall pay 1 goblet." Yang Su, fearing to frighten the fish from the water, didn't answer but nodded twice. When he pulled up the line, it was empty. He cast the line back into the water. A short while later, seeing Emperor Yang catch another small fish, he said, "I've caught 2. My esteemed minister, you shall pay 2 goblets." Yang Su pulled up the line, but again it was empty. The palace servants, seeing this, couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. Seeing this, Yang Su's face showed a slight anger, and he said, "How can a sparrow know the ambition of a swan? Let this old minister try to catch a golden carp to raise a toast for your Majesty for 10,000 years. What do you say?" Emperor Yang, displeased by Yang Su's boastful words and lack of decorum befitting a subject, put down his fishing rod, wiped his hands, and stormed into the inner palace, his face contorted with rage. Empress Zio caught him and asked, "Your Majesty, why did you return to the palace in such a fit of anger after fishing with Yang Su?" Emperor Yang replied, "That wretched old scoundrel. He's arrogant and disrespectful, behaving extremely presumptuously before me. I wanted to order a few palace maids to kill him to vent my anger." Empress Zio quickly stopped him, saying, "That's unacceptable. Yang Su is a veteran minister of the previous dynasty and has rendered meritorious service to your Majesty. If you summon him to a banquet today and kill him without cause, the officials outside the capital will surely be dissatisfied. Besides, he's a fierce general. How can a few palace maids possibly control him? If things get out of hand, he'll seize military power and become rampant. The fate of the state is uncertain. Even if your Majesty wants to eliminate him, you must proceed cautiously. How can you do it today?" Emperor Yang, upon hearing this, said, "My wife's words are quite right." He changed his clothes and went to the Tay pond as before. Seeing Yang Su sitting under the weeping willow, handsome and imposing, with a few strands of silvery white beard fluttering in the breeze, he exuded an aura of imperial power. Emperor Yang, seeing this, felt a pang of jealousy but forced a smile and asked, "How many fish have you caught this time, my worthy minister?" Yang Su replied, "How many dragon-transforming fish can there be?" Without another word, he pulled up a golden carp, about 12 or 13 inches long. Yang Su threw down the rod and laughed. "Where there's a will, there's a way. What do you think of this old minister, your Majesty?" Emperor Yang also laughed. "With a minister like him, what do I have to worry about?" He then ordered a banquet to be held, and the emperor and his ministers took their seats. Suddenly, an inner court official came and reported, "Outside the palace gate, a fisherman from the Luo River caught a large carp with golden scales and a reddish-brown tail. It has some unusual features, and he dares not sell it privately, wishing to present it to your Majesty." Emperor Yang ordered it brought in. Soon, 2 or 3 eunuchs brought a large basin filled with it and placed it before him. Emperor Yang and Yang Su examined the fish closely and saw that it was 5 feet long, its scales gleaming with gold, rivaling the sunlight in brilliance. Emperor Yang was overjoyed and was about to release it into the pond. Yang Su said, "This fish possesses great spirit. It is probably not of this pond. We should kill it to avoid the future calamity of wind and thunder." Emperor Yang laughed. "If it is indeed a creature destined to become a dragon, even if I wanted to kill it, I could not." He then asked his attendants, "Does this fish have a name?" They replied, "No." Emperor Yang then ordered a vermilion brush to be brought and wrote the 2 characters Jai Sheng, Chinese letter, meaning restoring life, on the carp's forehead as a mark before releasing it into the pond. He generously rewarded the fisherman. His attendants poured wine, and they drank in turn. The palace ladies sang and danced, then played delicate music. Just as Emperor Yang was about to begin his conversation and provoke Yang Su, his attendants brought out the 3 fish they had caught, slicing them into fine pieces and making a delicious soup. Upon seeing this, Emperor Yang ordered a close attendant to fill a large goblet and presented it to Yang Su, saying, "We had an agreement to fish earlier, and I was fortunate to catch one first. My worthy minister, you should drink this cup to the full, so as not to waste the beauty of this fine fish." Yang Su accepted the wine and drank it dry. He then ordered a close attendant to fill another goblet and presented it to Emperor Yang, saying, "Although I caught the fish late, it was a golden carp. Your Majesty should also offer a cup to reward my achievement." Emperor Yang finished his drink and said, "I caught 2. My worthy minister, you should also have a cup." He then ordered his attendants to pour and bring it to him. By this time, Yang Su was already 7 or 8 parts drunk and said, "Your Majesty, though your wine is 2 wei, a unit of volume, it is not as large as my 1 wei, another unit of volume. If your Majesty bestows wine upon this old minister according to the quantity, I will repay your Majesty with wine according to the size. I dare not obey your decree." The attendants brought wine to Yang Su, but he pushed it away. Caught off guard, they spilled a golden cup on the table, splashing wine all over Yang Su's dark python robe. He flew into a rage, shouting, "These fools! How dare they insult a minister before the emperor? What use are the laws of the court?" he yelled. "Drag him away and beat him." Emperor Yang, seeing the palace servant had spilled wine, was about to lash out, but seeing Yang Su's state, he couldn't stop him and remained silent. Seeing Emperor Yang's silence, the palace servants had no choice but to drag the servant who spilled the wine away and beat him 20 or so times. Yang Su turned to Emperor Yang and said, "These eunuchs and concubines are the most detestable. Throughout history, emperors who have shown the slightest leniency have often been ruined by them. It's not that I'm being rude today. Punishing them will only make them more cautious in the future, preventing them from acting recklessly." Emperor Yang, suppressing his anger, didn't want to provoke him further about the matter of choosing women for pleasure. He feigned a smile and said, "My worthy minister, you have both governed the empire externally and cleansed the palace internally for me. You are truly a meritorious official. Let's drink another cup to reward you." Yang Su drank several more cups, becoming quite drunk, before rising to thank the emperor. Emperor Yang ordered 2 eunuchs to help him out. As he descended the throne and was about to exit the garden gate, a sudden gust of cold wind swept over him, making his hair stand on end. Looking up, Yang Su saw Lady Xuanhua approaching and calling out to him, "Minister Yang, when the Prince of Jin plotted to seize the Eastern Palace, it was either you or me. It was up to you." Yang Su, forgetting that Lady Xuanhua was dead, replied, "Why bring up such things today, madam?" Lady Xuanhua said, "His Majesty has sent me to testify to this case." Yang Su said, "I was hosting a banquet inside earlier and didn't mention it." Before he finished speaking, Emperor Wen, wearing a dragon crown and imperial robes, holding a golden axe, sat in his carriage and blocked his path, shouting, "You regicide, you old traitor, still trying to argue." He brought the axe down on Yang Su's head. Yang Su couldn't dodge in time and fell to the ground, blood gushing from his mouth and nose. A close attendant saw this and quickly reported to Emperor Yang. Emperor Yang was overjoyed and immediately ordered guards to help Yang Su out. Once home, he regained consciousness slightly. He said to his son Xuengen, "My son, the plot to seize the throne has begun. Prepare for your funeral immediately." Before midnight, he passed away. Alas, may you rest in peace. Indeed. The ways of heaven are cyclical, and treacherous heroes rarely have a lasting legacy. Even if he lived a life of arrogance, he could not escape the impermanence of death. When Emperor Yang heard of Yang Su's death, he was overjoyed, saying, "With the old traitor dead, I have nothing to fear." He then summoned 10 eunuchs, including Su Tingfu, and instructed them, "You 10 are to go throughout the land and carefully select beautiful women, regardless of location, choosing 15 to 20 truly beautiful women. Once selected, send them to the capital for future use. Those who succeed will be rewarded, those who fail will be punished. Do not slack off or cause trouble." Su Tingfu and the others received the decree and began the selection process in the capital, posting imperial notices and collecting matchmakers' reports, causing a great uproar in the capital. One evening, Emperor Yang discussed the matter with Empress Xiao, saying, "I think that emperors throughout history have all had detached palaces and villas as places for pleasure. Now that I am so wealthy and powerful, if I do not enjoy myself in time, I will only make the country a laughing stock. I think Luoyang is the center of the world. Why not change it to Dongjing and build a Zionren palace to receive guests from all directions and enjoy leisurely pleasures?" He then summoned 2 sycophantic ministers, Yuan Kai and Feng Dai, and asked them to manage the matter in person. Yuan Kai reported, "Ancient emperors all had a Mingtang, Hall of Brightness, to receive the feudal lords. Moreover, Shun had 2 chambers, and King Wen had a Lingtai Spirit Terrace and Lingzhou Spirit Pond, all of which were of great merit and intended to demonstrate benevolence to the world. Now your majesty is building the Zionran palace to demonstrate your sacred influence and to emulate Shun and Wen. This is truly a great undertaking throughout history, and we, your subjects, dare not fail to do our utmost. Feng Dei further reported, "For the Son of Heaven to build a palace, it must be grand enough to be magnificent, and it must be rich and beautiful enough to establish virtue. It must be located south of the Zayajian River and north of the Luo River, selecting the finest materials and rare stones from across the land, along with various auspicious flowers, rare herbs, and exotic birds and animals, to fill it, so that it can be admired by all nations." Emperor Yang was overjoyed and said, "You two ministers have worked diligently, and I will reward you handsomely." He then issued an edict ordering Yuan Kai and Feng Dei to build the Zionran Palace in Luoyang. All materials from south of the Yangtze River and north of the Five Ridges were to be freely selected and used without fail. The labor costs for the craftsmen, excluding those in Jiangdu and Dongdu, and other areas currently undergoing construction, were to be collected by each province and prefecture, with each levy and transported to Luoyang to assist in the relief efforts. The two men received the order and immediately set off for Luoyang to carry out their tasks. This truly caused widespread unrest and suffering for countless people. What happened next remains to be seen. Please read the next chapter.